So we've seen the tanker being loaded at the terminal. Now it comes to arrive on site. Glenn, talk us a little bit through what's the procedure for delivering the actual product into the underground tanks here on site.
When the driver arrives on site, he pulls up to the spill box, which we can see on the ground here, and that can be anywhere on the site. So depending on which site he's at, they're in varying places. He will bring his paperwork around and he'll check his BOL, his bill of lading, which he received at the terminal after the load process. He'll check that against the tumblers on the truck to ensure that the products are the same, the markings are the same as what they were when he left the terminal. He'll then define himself a work area. Now the rule varies in different states on that distance which he needs to define the work area. He'll place his cones out and then he'll proceed to dip the tank so he can find out what's in each tank and how much fuel he can deliver to those tanks.
It's really critical that they do set out their work area here because this is such a different environment to what we saw at the terminal, isn't it?
Yeah, when you're in the terminal, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody knows the rules and everybody abides by those rules. When you come out onto a customer site, you open yourself up to the elements. So you have people on site that don't know exactly what you're doing. They don't have any idea really of how the process of delivering fuel goes. So it's very important that you set up a safe work area to keep yourself safe while you're on site.
Absolutely, because this is such a critical job and you've got to follow those right procedures to make sure that you're delivering the right product to the right tank.
Oh yes, it's very important that you use the work instruction and you follow each step of the work instruction. And if you follow the steps of the work instruction, it's a very safe job. But you need to ensure that you follow those steps to keep you on the track.
So talking about those procedures then, so we've checked that we've got the right documentation, we've checked the loads right. What's the procedure then to actually get the product into the tanks?
If we have a mixed load, a load of petrol and diesel, it's very important that we unload the diesel first off the load. There's a few different reasons why we do that. One in particular is we see diesel as the odd product, and it's very important that we get that odd product off of the vehicle before we start the other processes. So if we unload the diesel first, we do that without a vapour recovery hose, and then once we change over to unload motor spirit or petrol, we then need to connect the vapour recovery hose up to ensure that we gather the vapour, it's not going out to the atmosphere.
So that hose is only needed for the petrol, not the diesel?
Yeah, only for the petrol deliveries. Unload the diesel first without the vapour hose and then connect the vapour hose to unload the petrol.
Okay.
The other important thing is when we're changing products between diesel and petrol, we need to ensure that we change at the ground first. And the reason we change at the ground first is to avoid a contamination. So if you get interrupted and you change at the ground and you pull the handle again, it means that you're simply unloading a compartment of air, so there's no product mix. It's just another safety process in our work instruction to help you get the job done.
Yeah. And what goes on from there once we've got that all connected?
So we reference back to the dip book that we ensure that we've got the right hose connected to the right tank, the right compartment to the right tank. Then we do a hand trace, and it's very important that we do an honest hand trace where we actually place our hand on the hose, follow it from the product marker down to the ground, onto the ground marker, and we take it back from the ground marker back to the tanker. It's very important that we do these hand traces because it ensures that you're going to the right product to the right tank.
So we've got the right hoses connected to the right tanks. Is it just a case then of letting the valves opening the valves and letting the tanker do its work?
What you need to do is just slowly open those valves. We need to ensure that we check for any leaks because that's the time when you're going to get a leak, when the first initial startup. So we need to check and ensure that we don't have any leaks. We then need to monitor the flow of the fuel. And by monitoring it, we need to stay in the work area. We don't need to venture off anywhere away. So we need to remain in control of the delivery. So that may mean that we stand there within a metre or so of where the outlets are, so that if we have any sort of leak or emergency, we can shut the process down very quickly.
So it's a case of always being on guard with it, don't turn your back on it.
Yeah, never walk away from the delivery, never walk away from the delivery.
And next steps then as we go through?
So basically once we've finished the compartment, if that's our last, or if we're going to change products, we then need to drain the hose off, leave it connected, drain the hose off. Obviously change at the ground first to ensure that there's no chance of a contamination. Basically once we got the next product, if we've got another product, we let that flow till it's finished. We'll then drain off the hoses, remove them from the fill points, cap them. If they're diesel hoses, we'll cap them. If they're petrol hoses and we don't have vented caps, we'll leave them open. If they're petrol hoses, we need to use vented caps. Place them back onto the hose tray, out of the way, pack up our work area, basically at the spill box. We then need to go and do some after dips to ensure that we have delivered the right product into the right tank. come back, ensure that all of our equipment is stowed safely on the vehicle, and fill out our dip book and our paperwork. Head off to see the customer to get some signatures and to hand some paperwork over. Then we can come back, pack up our cones from our safe work area, complete a 360-degree walk around of the vehicle before we exit the site.
And I guess just finally, you know, all those normal things that we talk about all the time, always a given. It's having the right protective gear, making sure there's grounding, that you ground it all and do the right things to avoid any of those potential hazards like that.
Yes, it's very important before we start the delivery. So once we open that spill box, that we connect the bonding wire straight away. It guarantees that we've got a bond between the tanker and the ground tanks, and also guarantees there's no discharge of static electricity. Once we've completed the delivery, we complete the 360-degree walk around to ensure that we've removed everything that's connected from the tanker to the ground.
Yeah. And I guess the final thing is, no matter how often you do this, those procedures are so critical, just to make sure that you're getting everything in sequence and that you don't miss a step.
If you follow the steps of the work instruction, you can't fail in this job. It's a very regimented process job. If you just follow the steps of the work instruction, fill out the dip book and complete an honest hand trace, very, very good chance that you'll get it right every time.